tell us, was there anything in particular that made you start studying Islam? When did or why did you start studying Islam?
Well, for me, I had read a book or two on Islam in the 1990s, but it was after 9/11, like a lot
Mhm.
of people, it it shocked me. I'll tell
Yeah.
you, at the time, I was a pilot for a major cargo company. I had just
Wow.
landed from Alaska and got home about 3 o'clock that morning, went to bed, and my brother was living with me at the time. And 8:30 that morning, he came knocking on my door to wake me up, which that's usually a no-no because I need plenty of rest
Yeah.
after flying at night and staying up all night. And he said, "Something's happening, something's happening." And I went into the living room and watched the planes crash into the World Trade Center and began to follow all that was going on that day. And that got me interested in how did those people think? Why did they think they were doing the right thing? I mean, people do things that seem terrible to others, but the people who do that think it's the good thing to do.
Mhm.
Why did they think killing people like that was a good thing to do? So I began to study everything about 9/11 I could find. I'm probably one of the few people who's read the entire 9/11 Commission report. I think that runs about 1,200 pages, and I read the entire
Wow.
thing. And so what I wanted to do was get into the mind of those people and understand better why they thought the way they did. And then after I felt comfortable after several years of study that I understood their thinking and their rationale and what sources they used and how they interpreted the Quran, etc., then I got curious. Well, why don't all the Muslims behave that way? And so I
Yeah.
began to study the more mainstream Islam and what the average Muslim and why Muslims in America aren't like that, and discovered that there are two completely different interpretations going on there. And so I was curious about what are the arguments for each side, and does it make sense? And that got me into studying, of course, the history of Islam, early Islam.
Yeah. Wow. That's about the same time that I started studying Islam. I think,
Mm.
perhaps a lot of people, like you said, it kind of piqued everybody's interest, and everybody um, kind of remembers where they were at on that day. But I knew you were, a pilot at one time, but I never thought about it from that perspective. Just landing a plane and then going to sleep and then being woken, to
Oh yeah,
watch what's happening. That's
it changed my life a lot.
yeah,
We went from, well, it used to be we'd walk in and show our ID to the guard at the door and just go and set our bags down and go to the airplane after we looked at the paperwork. And after that, we had scanners, we had X-ray machines, we had everything all set up, and we had new rules what you could and couldn't carry on the airplane, things like that. Who could go on the airplane? I'll give you an example of how, to me, silly it got. I was jump seating, which is there's usually an extra seat in the aircraft, in the FedEx aircraft, where pilots or other people can get or hitch a ride on the flight if there's a seat available. So I was going to go play golf with my buddy, and they took my golf clubs and they put them in the forest compartment in the tail of the aircraft because they told me that those were considered possible weapons.
wow.
I get up to the cockpit, I sit down, I put on my seatbelt, and I turn to my right, and right off my right shoulder is an axe that's just hanging beside me. And
Right.
that's a crash axe to get out of the airplane in case it's on fire. And I thought, so I can use this axe, which has a really pointy end and a really sharp end, is sitting right beside me. But the golf clubs are dangerous, but this is okay.
Yeah.
I thought, man, they've never watched me play golf. I can't hit anything.
9/11 was, in many ways similar to COVID. I don't think it had quite the drastic effects on society that COVID did, but perhaps I don't know. But thinking about Muhammad, these sounds like a lot of the things that most people don't hear about Islam, and kind of a sensitive topic. But